Here's what's happening right now. Looks gorgeous out there until you actually step outside, and then it does not feel like spring. We'll see if we can make any improvement later this week. Paula?
When you think about big defense contractors, you don't think about Rave Computer. When you think about the proposed federal budget, you probably don't think about Rave Computer. But I'm going to show you why Rave Computer actually matters when we talk about crunching these numbers.
Thank you, Paula. Also, first at 4, heart-stopping moments for a mother. Her car stolen with her kids inside. Many of you following this online. We have the latest now. Up first, a deadly attack in London. Police working through the night to investigate a possible act of terror. This breaking story out of London started with a car plowing into pedestrians on the Westminster Bridge. Witnesses say the driver was intentionally trying to hit bystanders.
There was bodies, literally.
Must have been about 10 bodies.
10,
yeah,
12 bodies, all in different
just lying
places.
in different places along the bridge.
Being shot, yeah.
It must have been terrifying.
It was horrendous.
The attack happened in the middle of the afternoon in London, forcing Parliament to go into lockdown. Kimberly Gill following the very latest from our newsroom. So, Kim, what do we know right now about that attack?
Karen, investigators believe there was only one attacker, and that attacker was killed along with 3 others. Right now, investigators are calling it a terror attack. The attack started, as you said, when a car hit dozens of people on the Westminster Bridge before crashing near Parliament. The attacker then got out of the car and stabbed an armed police officer who was protecting Parliament. The armed assailant was then shot and killed by police. In total, again, 4 are dead, including the attacker, with 20 hospitalized, some with severe injuries. Investigators say 3 police officers were among those hit on the bridge.
This is a day we planned for, but we hope would never happen. Sadly, it's now a reality. We will continue to do all we can to protect the people of London.
Officers put the entire area on lockdown. That included the popular London Eye. You see it there, trapping tourists inside the enclosed Ferris wheels pods there. Again, investigators believe only one attacker is responsible for this and among the 4 people killed. Authorities have told London residents to expect more armed police officers on the streets in the upcoming days as they want to make sure nobody else was involved. So, Karen, we continue to gather more information on this attack, and we'll have an update from London coming up tonight in our 5 o'clock broadcast. Until then, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, a tense situation for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim. In addition to updates at 5 and 6, NBC News is also working this story, and we'll have an in-depth coverage tonight at 6:30. Make sure to join Lester Holt right here on Local 4. Also, first at 4, a 2-year-old girl and a 9-month-old boy back home safe this afternoon after an Amber Alert was issued for them this morning. The children were sitting inside their mother's car at a gas station in Burton, which is near Flint. It was about 7 in the morning. Police say their mom ran inside to buy some cigarettes, but she left the car running with the kids inside. Moments later, a man stole that car and drove off with her children. She described the frightening scene this morning.
I ran in to get cigarettes, of all things, and on my way out, I seen a heavier set, tall, black male, maybe just dark complex, in a red hoodie.
Fortunately, those children and the car were found shortly after. Everyone is okay. Burton police still searching for that suspect this afternoon and ask anyone with information to call them immediately. Teachers and students are asked to be on high alert today after a stranger danger alert in Trenton, and police sent out extra patrols on this one. A letter from the superintendent says a man tried to lure a middle school student into his van on Tuesday. The girl refused, took off running, and then immediately told her parents. Trenton police say the man was driving a truck, actually, a brown pickup truck, and that students in the area should walk in groups and be aware of their surroundings. The driver of a semi is expected to be okay after his truck flipped and then caught fire over on I-94. That crash happened on eastbound 94. It crashed at around 3 this morning. The interstate was closed, causing morning rush hour delays. Police say the driver flipped his truck before it caught fire. They are still trying to figure out exactly what caused the crash. Oh, Ben, it feels more like winter than spring, and I guess we got to get used to it because it's going to be a cold night ahead.
Yeah, we've got even worse than what we woke up to this morning, Karen, but look at how gorgeous it looks out there right now. Beautiful blue skies, almost completely crystal clear Temperatures are in the 30s outside, considering that average is in the low 40s. We've still got some work to do, but we're probably not going to get anywhere close to average today. Wind chills in 20s in some spots, but tonight we're going to be dropping down even colder than what we woke up to this morning. You can see those temperatures will be down to the mid-20s by midnight. The one thing going for us is that the winds are going to be calmer tonight than what we saw last night. So we'll look at some improving conditions in that 7-day forecast coming up, Karen.
First at 4, we're on top of stories making headlines all around the world. North Korea continues to test the resolve of the Trump administration. American defense officials say they expect another North Korean missile launch in the next several days. The United Nations has banned North Korea from conducting long-range missile tests, but the country claims it's in the final stages of developing a missile that could reach the U.S. mainland. How to deal with North Korea is quickly becoming a major challenge for President Trump. Arkansas's governor has signed a new gun bill to law to allow concealed handguns at state colleges, some bars, government buildings, even the state capitol. Governor Asa Hutchinson signed that bill today. It allows someone to carry weapons at those locations if they undergo up to 8 hours of active shooting training. The new law takes effect on September 1st. President Donald Trump's new budget makes some sweeping changes to how the nation spends your money. First at 4, we've been analyzing the impact on local schools, service agencies like Meals on Wheels. Well, today, we find how the president's $54 billion boost to defense spending will trickle down to Macomb County. Here's Paula Tutman.
When you think of defense contractor, you think of the Titans, right? TACOM, General Dynamics, BAE. You don't necessarily think about a guy they call a Rembrandt with computers, or this young guy right here with his hat turned around on the back of his head. But this really is the face of defense contracting in our area, and the proposed federal budget matters to each and every one of these guys in this room. A swath of Macomb County from I-696 to M59, often called the Defense Corridor, where the Titans create things that keep this country safe. They are not the only players, however, when it comes to defense. There's some 6,000 businesses in this corridor, of which 650 defense contractors with work through the Department of Defense, generating more than $36 billion in contracts since the year 2000. Last year alone, $1.4 billion in contracts were generated, according to John Paul Ray, Director of Planning and Economic Development for Macomb County, citing Department of Defense numbers. Rough math, that's $2 million per year generated annually per every single mile along this corridor just from defense contracts.
70% of everything that a soldier shoots, flies, drives, eats, wears, or communicates with comes from Michigan. And if it's coming from Michigan, it's coming from Sterling Heights.
On the border of Sterling Heights and Warren, Rave Computer.
70% of our business is defense, and that falls predominantly into 2 areas. The first of those is C4ISR, which is command and control, communications and computers, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance.
A company that employs 40, many of them artisans, who make computer systems smaller, faster, cooler, more compact for military systems.
We are the only manufacturer of compute hardware in the state of Michigan.
This is where your tax dollars are saving lives, preserving freedom, and building families.
For us, the defense budget is great across the board.
Mark is a second-generation employee. He's raising his young family with a well-paying job at Rave Computer.
Like to sell a computer with my
His hearing impairment doesn't affect his work one iota. In the old days, you might say he's making a man's wage, good money.
I have worked for 12 years at 2010 and 8.
And if his company gets more contracts, it means more work for him, more employees for the company, more money spent at the grocery store, better college funds for his kids, a better way of life for this American dream.
$54 billion more dollars in the defense budget, of course, it's super helpful to us. It will make a huge difference.
Yeah, and so for this particular longitude and latitude, those preliminary numbers look really, really good. Keep in mind, they are early numbers. There's still a lot of negotiation to be done, but everyone really does, Karen. They need to dial into these numbers so they can figure out what they mean to their particular station and their particular place in the American dream. I've done 3 stories this week. They're all posted on my Facebook page, Local 4 Paula Tutman. You might just want to take a look because you get some real numbers and some real deep diving. Everyone needs to do their own research in lots of different places to figure out what these numbers mean to them.
Paula, do these numbers mean exactly more jobs for that specific corridor? Are they able to say that more people will be hired now because of this money coming their way?
Absolutely. Now, Rave Computer needs 3 people right now, has nothing to do with this budget. But just think about, for each increment, $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, they're going to have more work. They're going to need more people. And so it really does trickle down. It has a domino effect up and down. It even affects Panera Bread because the people from here will have lunch there.
That's right. All right, Paula Tutman live this afternoon. Thank you, Paula. Many women avoid any photos in their swimsuits, but a major retailer is launching a new campaign designed to make all women feel more comfortable. We'll show you how. Also, trouble on the train tracks. This guy needed help fast. We'll show you what happened next. But up first, romantic ripoff. Police say a Troy woman was scammed out of a lot of money. The story and how you can avoid similar trouble on dating websites.
Coming up all new on Local 4 News at 5 and 6.
The hunt for Warren Mayor Jim Fouts again brought us back to City Hall, but this time for a scheduled press event, one that didn't quite go as planned.
Congratulations, and I thank you and Mr. Woods. I have another event to do, so congratulations.
The mayor's not-so-subtle escape coming up at 5 o'clock.
Police tell us a woman in Troy was scammed out of $700,000 by someone that she met on Match.com. The man identified himself as Danny Koch. He told her he was a widower working on an oil rig near London. Now, he claimed he was having money troubles, and she was helping him based on promises that he would pay her back. Eventually, she got a call from someone who claimed to be Interpol and said he needed bail money, so she gave him more money. Finally, her bank told her that she was being swindled. So if you're in one of those situations where you're checking out dating websites, you need to be very, very careful. So some of the things you need to do is check for bad grammar, misspellings. Does their photo seem legitimate or could it be fake? Also, you want to find out about their occupation. Ask them some questions on what they do. Male scammers often claim to be in the military or engineers. Women, many times who are scamming, say that they are models. Also, something to consider. You want to find out if they say they're from a foreign country. That's a big red flag. How serious can they be about a relationship if they're overseas? And ask if someone asks for money or perhaps personal information before you even meet them. That is a huge red flag. Don't do it. Also, do not wire money. It can't be tracked and it is impossible to get back. We have posted this advice and more at clickondetroit.com. You'll find it on the consumer page. Let's talk about other news this afternoon. Sears and Kmart signaling their futures are in, quote, substantial doubt, and they may not be able to keep their doors open. Sears was once the largest retailer in the country, but now has a mountain of debt. The new information comes in a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Sears hasn't turned a profit since 2011, and the filing is a concrete sign the legendary retailer could be coming to the end of the line. Well, Ben is back with that chilly forecast, and I guess it wouldn't seem so chilly if we just didn't have those other warm days.
Yeah, if it weren't for February,
exactly.
It would be fine.
We're just so up and down these days. You just don't even know how to bundle up the kids.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
We're into spring and almost April, believe it or not, and we're talking about numbers tonight that are going to be in the teens for overnight lows. In fact, our current temperatures, even with all that sunshine out there, this is as good as it gets. We're only above freezing in parts of the area, pretty much from 8 miles south, with a couple spots here in Howell and Pontiac peaking above 32. But comparing this to where we were yesterday, what a switch. Anywhere between about 15 and as much as 22, 23 degrees colder than our 4 p.m. temperature yesterday. And yes, it is going to be colder tonight than what we're looking at for those lows earlier this morning. Not much to show you clouds and radar wise, so high pressure is going to be a control. That part we've got going for us, which is a lot of sunshine going into at least most of Thursday. You can see tonight those clear skies will allow temperatures to drop, and that's why we're expecting those numbers to end up in the teens. Starting out with sunshine tomorrow, but then the clouds do start building as we get into the second half of the day. That's going to eventually lead to some rain as we get into Thursday night and early Friday morning. but we got a lot more rain coming as we get towards the upcoming weekend. Look at the lows tonight in our 4-zone forecast. We'll start in the metro zone, which this is going to be as good as it gets. 15 to 18 is how it's going to start out tomorrow morning. Now, we're not going to see much of a wind chill because those winds are going to be virtually calm going into the start of tomorrow. Down in our south zone, anywhere between 14 at Onstead and 17 out here in Luna Pier, Monroe, and Carlton, all at the same number. Our west zone tomorrow, or I should say earlier or later tonight, anywhere between 13 and 15 for those nighttime lows. And our north zone, you're going to stay out of single digits, but that's about all we can say with that. 13 to 15 will be those lows to start out tomorrow morning. And sunshine will help us out at least to start, and then the clouds do start moving in. We'll get to 42, which is better than we did today. That's still not average for this time of year, but look at the jump between tomorrow afternoon and what we're expecting on Friday, which is that high of 62. Even though we've got rain on the forecast, it's going to be really early. In fact, for a lot of us, it's going to get out of here before the commute is over. So I think that's probably going to be our pick day of the week. The weekend, we can pretty much write that off because we're all going to be watching basketball anyway, but mid-50s for highs and plenty of rain both Saturday and Sunday, Karen.
All right, thank you, Ben. People are talking about new swimsuit ads from Target with absolutely no airbrushing. Coming up, we'll talk about some of those photos and hear why Target is making that change. Up first, though, danger on the train tracks. One man in trouble until some young heroes go to work. The rest of this video next. Some heart-stopping moments at a train station caught on video. You can see a man actually falls on the tracks at the station in Somerville, Massachusetts. Now, luckily for him, a group of college students noticed he was in trouble. You see one guy jump down to help, then a whole group worked together to lift him to safety. The man who fell had been drinking. He broke his ankle. Within minutes of that rescue, a train pulled right into the station. In today's trending stories, Wells Fargo customers will soon be able to use the ATM without using their bank card. The bank plans to upgrade all 13,000 ATMs by next week so people can use their smartphones to get cash. Customers will get a unique code from the Wells Fargo app, then enter that code with their PIN to use the ATM. Wells Fargo is still looking to bounce back from that fake account scandal. Okay, let's talk about trending stories. A lot of people are talking about Target and their new swimsuit campaign because the models are not airbrushed in any way, proudly showing stretch marks and cellulite. Take a look at some of the photos from the campaign. Target tells Local 4 that it is committed to empowering women to feel confident. Definitely, they want them to feel confident in what they wear by offering a variety of style choices. And they say it was important to show their true beauty without filters. I think a lot of women appreciate that. Still to come this afternoon, one more trending story. A Starbucks employee gets a surprising letter from a customer after a bad drive-thru experience. But up first, take a look at what I'm working on for tonight's 11.
Get back into your vehicle.
We're not just training on the range anymore. Drop the gun, drop the gun! Moving left. We're actually putting officers in a decision-making situation.
Taser, taser!
And the defenders take you along. There was a lot going in, and I was so nervous that one of them was going to be a kid.
Put the gun down!
I'm Local 4 Defender Karen Drew. I'll have that story tonight at 11. Finally, first at 4, a lesson about improving your karma after a Starbucks customer really regrets her actions at the drive-thru.
Yeah, apparently the Starbucks employee told this woman they were out of drink carriers and that he couldn't throw away her empty cup. The customer was not having it, and she made that very clear.
Oh, she made it really clear. But look what arrived the next day. This doesn't happen very often, an apology letter and a $50 tip. The customer wrote she didn't want to leave a trail of unkindness, and the experience taught her something about kindness, compassion, and staying humble. I think a lesson everybody can learn and improve on.
Take a minute, think about what you're going to say before you say it. I think
that's right. Well, thank you, Ben, for your time today. Was that sincere?
Yeah,
it was
I
good.
got it.
Thanks for joining us first at 4. We are back in a half hour with Local 4 News at 5. Inside Edition is next.